Thank you all. This is a great event, and the kind of liberating event that the Haight is known for. Speaking of Nancy Reagan, I knew Nancy Reagan. My dad, Lyle Talbot, was on the Screen Actors Guild board with Ron Reagan. And I went to the same school with Ron, not Ron Jr., he's just known as Ron. I knew Patty. They're in my book, Season of the Witch. And Nancy didn't know what the hell her kids were doing. They were getting high, because that is an innate human impulse. We all want to alter our consciousness if we have any brain at all. Because living in this world, in this reality, particularly in the United States of America lately, I think all of us naturally want to get out of this reality. So I love coming to the Haight. I don't live here, but I feel this is holy ground. It's hallowed territory. And it's liberated territory because so many people, including Dr. Dave, including the people Dennis was hanging out with, including Michael Stepanian, these were heroes who fought for this liberated territory. They fought to liberate it. And they fought so we could all liberate our consciousness in this liberated territory. It's amusing a little bit to me, Michael, that you referred to the Good Earth Commune as one of Tony Serra's hippy-dippy set of clients, because they weren't that hippy-dippy to me. These were ex-cons, they were Vietnam veterans, and they fought and hard to keep, they were tough to keep the Haight free. They armed themselves to drive out heroin dealers, because let's get real, there are drugs and then there are drugs. And there's some drugs that I think are liberating, and there's some that enslave. And we all know the difference. And so the Good Earth Commune were tough hippies. They were heavy hippies. They took over abandoned buildings. You know, the city wanted to pave the Haight. They wanted to turn it into a freeway. People like Calvin Welch, who's still here and very active in the neighborhood, and many others had to fight against that, Sue Hester. So these were heroes. As I say in the book, San Francisco was not freed. The freedom that we love, the Enlightenment didn't come about with flowers in its hair, only flowers in their hair. There were flowers in their hair too. But it came about howling and blood and strife. At the same time, the Good Earth Commune was fighting to help keep the Haight free, and fighting against bad cops, corrupt cops, and heroin dealers. The CIA was operating a safe house not far from here. There was a mad scientist named Dr. Jolly West. Jolly West, how many people have heard of that name? This was a guy who came out of the CIA's MK Ultra drug program. A lot of the drug revolution in this country was sponsored by the CIA. They had access to the drugs and they controlled them. Many people felt that the Haight was being used as a laboratory by the CIA during the 1960s. They were flooding the neighborhood with bad drugs, STP and other drugs, heroin, and that's the way they control, of course, neighborhoods. And so there was a so-called CIA, I think, experimental house that was being operated by the agency at this point to test new drugs on kids and see what they could produce from this. So, the world of drugs, and particularly...
You guys were more into real estate, or the Good Earth Commune was more into just taking over buildings and stuff like that?
No,
they were tough.
They were more complicated than that. I mean, the Good Earth Commune was, I think...
Read this book.
Yeah. For the most part, it was a very liberatory experiment, but they got involved in dealing cocaine at the end, and I think that was one of their downfalls.
The Bible?
Yeah. But anyway, I'll wrap up because we've heard a lot of speaking tonight, and I know we want to open it up to the audience. But I think the underlying point is that the lesson of Season of the Witch, and I think the lesson of tonight, is if you love your city, if you want to free your city and keep it free, you've got to fight. And nowadays we have some other problems with this city. We thought that we had won that battle. Season of the Witch I wrote at a certain time when I thought the war had been won here. But it turns out that, of course, that we have a whole new set of issues. People who can't afford to live in the city are being pushed out. Poverty is being criminalized in San Francisco. Homeless people are being shot by the cops because, the people with money don't want to see them. That's not the San Francisco that I celebrated in Season of the Witch. so it's time for us all to stand up and fight again together. And in the spirit of Dr. Dave and Michael Stepanian and the Dennis McNally and the Grateful Dead, and hey, Jerry Garcia was no hippy-dippy guy either. He was the son of or the grandson of a laundry worker union activist, and he was a very political guy. Paul Kantner, rest in peace, Paul, a very political guy, the Jefferson Airplane. These were people who were tough and political, and that's why the city became worth living in and the city that we love today. We got to keep fighting.
Yay!